Well, you see that dawn has come and we've gotten through the night without mishap. Yes, and tomorrow I'll be thinking it's a good thing to have done with it. But just now all I feel is that I'm dead tired and my heart's dried up within me. Ah, it was a hard night indeed. But this morning is the first for years when I breathe freely. Never did a killing cost me less. I almost seem to hear the waves already, and I feel like crying out for joy. So much the better, Martha. So much the better. As for me, I feel so old this morning that I can't share anything with you, but perhaps tomorrow I'll be in a better way. Yes, and everything will, I hope, be better. But do please stop complaining and give me a chance of relishing my newfound happiness. I'm like a young girl again this morning. I feel my blood flowing warm, and I want to run about and sing. Oh, Mother, may I ask you something? What's come over you, Martha? You're like a different person. Oh, Mother, tell me, am I still pretty? Yes, I think you're looking really pretty this morning. Some acts seem to have a good effect on you. Oh, no, those acts you mean lie on me so lightly, but this morning I feel as if I'd been born again to a new life. At last I'm going to a country where I shall be happy. No doubt. No doubt. And once I've got over my tiredness, I, too, shall breathe freely. Even now it makes up for all those sleepless nights of ours, to know they'll have brought you happiness. But this morning I must rest. All I'm conscious of is that the night has been a hard one. What does last night matter? Today is a great day. Keep your eyes open when you're sweeping. We dropped some of his papers on the way out. I couldn't stop to pick them up. They're on the floor somewhere. I don't need to see it. Put it with the other things. We'll burn them all together. Oh, what is it? What do you want now? Come here. Read. You know quite well my eyes are tired. Read. Yes, I always knew it would turn out like this one day. And that would be the end of all. Mother, no, Martha, let me have my way. I've lived quite long enough. I have lived many years more than my son. That isn't as it should be. Now I can go and join him at the bottom of the river, where the weeds already have covered up his face. Mother, surely you won't leave me alone? You have been a great help to me, Martha, and I am sorry to leave you. If such words have any meaning left for us, I can honestly say you were a good daughter in your fashion. You've always shown me the respect you owed me, but now I'm very weary. My old heart, which seemed indifferent to everything, has learned again today what grief means, and I'm not young enough to come to terms with it. In any case, when a mother is no longer capable of recognizing her son, it's clear her role on earth is ended. No, not if her daughter's happiness remains to be ensured, and no less than my heart. My hopes are shattered when I hear you speaking in this new amazing way. You who had taught me to respect nothing. It only proves that in a world where everything can be denied, there are forces undeniable. And on this earth, where nothing's sure, we have our certainties. And a mother's love for her son is now my certainty. So you are not sure that a mother can love her daughter. It's not now I'd want to wound you, Martha, but love for a daughter can never be the same thing. It strikes less deep. And how could I now live without my son's love? A wonderful love that forgot you utterly for 20 years. Yes, it was a wonderful love that outlasted 20 years of silence. Say what you will, that love is wonderful enough for me, since I can't live without it. It's not possible you can talk like that without any thought for your daughter, without the least stirring of revolt. Hard as it is on you, it is possible. I have no thought for anything, still less any feeling of revolt. No doubt this is my punishment, and for all murderers, and a time comes when, like me, they are dried up within, sterile, with nothing left to live for. That's why society gets rid of them. They're good for nothing. I can't bear to hear you talking like that about crime and punishment. It's despicable. I'm not troubling to pick my words. I've ceased to have any preference. But it's true that by one act I have ruined everything. I have lost my freedom, and my hell has begun. You never spoke like that before. During all these years you've stood beside me, and your hands never flinched from gripping the legs of those who were to die. A lot of you thought of hell or freedom in those days. It never occurred to you that you had no right to live, and you went on, doing as you did. What change can your son have brought to that? I went on with it. That's true. What I lived through then, I lived through by dint of habit, which is not so very different from death. An experience of grief was enough to change all that. And my son's coming has brought that change. Oh, I know, Martha, that doesn't make sense. What has a criminal to do with grief? But I'd have you notice that my grief is not the wild grief that mothers feel. I haven't raised my voice as yet. It's no more than the pain of feeling love rekindle in my heart, and yet it's too much for me. I know that this pain too doesn't make sense, but then this world we live in doesn't make sense. And I have a right to judge it, since I've tested all it has to offer from creation to destruction. No, Mother, you shall not leave me. Don't forget that it was I who stayed beside you, and he went away. For a whole lifetime I have been with you, and he left you in silence. That must come into the reckoning. That must be paid for. And it's your duty to come back to me. That's true enough, Martha. But he, my son, was killed by me. All that life can give a man was given him. He left this country. He came to know far horizons, the sea, free beings. But I stayed here, eating my heart out in the shadows, small and insignificant, buried alive in a gloomy valley in the heart of Europe. Buried alive. No one has ever kissed my mouth, and no one, not even you, has seen me naked. Mother, I swear to you that must be paid for, and now, when at last I am to get what's due to me, you must not desert me on the vain pretext that a man is dead. Do try to understand that for a man who has lived his life, death is a little thing. We can forget my brother and your son. What has happened to him has no importance. He had nothing more to get from life. But for me, it's different. And you are defrauding me of everything, cheating me of the pleasures he enjoyed. Why must that man deprive me of my mother's love as well as drag you down with him into the icy darkness of the river? I ask so little, so very little of life. Mother, there are words I never could bring myself to use, but don't you think it would be soothing if we started our life again just as it used to be? You and I together? Did you recognize him? No, I didn't. I had not the slightest recollection of what he looked like, and everything happened as it was bound to happen. You said it yourself. This world doesn't make sense. But you weren't altogether wrong in asking me that question, for I know now that if I'd recognized him, it would have made no difference. I prefer to think that isn't true. No soul is wholly criminal, and the wickedest murderers have moments when they lay down their arms. I have such moments too, but I would not have lowered my head to a brother whom I did not know and who meant nothing to me. To whom then would you lower your head? To you. Too late, Martha. I can do nothing more for you. Oh, why did he keep silent? Silence is fatal, but speaking is as dangerous. The little he said hurried it on. Are you crying, Martha? No, you wouldn't know how to cry. Can you remember the time when I used to kiss you? No, Mother. I understand. It was so long ago, and I forgot so soon to hold out my arms to you. But I never ceased loving you. I know it now. Now that your brother's coming has brought to life again that intolerable love which I now must kill, together with myself. But what? Oh, what can mean more to you than your daughter's grief? Weariness, perhaps, and my longing for rest. No, what concern of mine was it to look after my brother? None whatever. And yet now I'm an outcast in my own home. There is no place for me to lay my head. My own mother will have none of me. No, it wasn't my duty to look after him. Oh, the unfairness of it all. The injustice done to innocence. For he now has what he wanted, while I am left lonely, far from the sea I longed for. Oh, how I hate him. All my life was spent waiting for this great wave that was to lift me up and sweep me far away. And now I know it will never come again. I am doomed to stay here with all those other countries, other nations, on my left hand, on my and my right, before me and behind. All those plains and mountains that are barriers to the salt winds blowing from the sea and whose chatterings and grumblings drown its low, unceasing summons. There are places to which, far as they may be from the sea, the evening wind brings sometimes a smell of seaweed. It tells of moist sea beaches, loud with the cries of seagulls, or of golden sands bathed in a sunset glow that has no limit. But the sea winds fail long before they reach this place. Never shall I have what's due to me. I may press my ear to the earth, but I shall not hear the crash of icy breakers, or the measured breathing of a happy sea. I am too far from all I love, and my exile is beyond remedy. I hate him. Yes, I hate him for having got what he wanted. My only home is in this gloomy, shut-in country where the sky has no horizons. For my hunger I have nothing but the sour Moravian sloes. For my thirst only the blood that I have shed. That is the price one must pay for a mother's love. There is no love for me, so let her die. Let every door be shut against me. All I wish is to be left in peace with my anger, my very rightful anger, for I have no intention of rolling my eyes heavenward or pleading for forgiveness before I die. In that southern land guarded by the sea to which one can escape, where one can breathe freely, press one's body to another's body, roll in the waves, to that sea-guarded land, the gods have no access. But here one's gaze is cramped on every side. Everything is planned to make one look up in humble supplication. I hate this narrow world in which we are reduced to gazing up at God. But I have not been given my rights, and I am smarting from the injustice done me. I will not bend my knee. I have been cheated of my place on earth. cast away by my mother, left alone with my crimes, and I shall leave this world without being reconciled. Who's there? A traveler. We're not taking any guests now. But my husband's here. I have to come to see him. Your husband? Who's that? He came here yesterday evening, and he promised to call for me this morning. I can't understand why he didn't come. He said his wife was abroad. He had special reasons for that, but we'd arranged to meet this morning. That may be difficult. Your husband's gone. Gone? I don't follow. Didn't he take a room here? Yes, but he left it during the night. Really, I can't believe that. I know his reasons for wanting to stay in this house, but the way you speak alarms me. Please tell me frankly whatever you have to tell. I have nothing to tell you except that your husband is no longer here. I simply cannot understand. He would not have gone away without me. Did he say that he was going for good, or that he'd come back? He's left us for good. Please listen. I can't bear to be kept in suspense any longer. Since yesterday, I've been waiting in this strange land, and now my anxiety has brought me to this house. I will not go away before I have seen my husband or been told where I can find him. Your husband's whereabouts is your concern, not mine. You are wrong. You too are concerned in this, and closely. I don't know if my husband will approve of my telling you this, but I'm sick and tired of this futile game of make-believe. The man who came here yesterday is the brother you'd heard nothing of for years and years. That's no news to me. Then what can have happened? If everything has been cleared up, how is it Jan's not there here? Did you not welcome him home, you and your mother, and weren't you full of joy at his return? My brother is no longer here because he is dead. You're joking, of course. Jan's often told me that when you were little you loved mystifying people. You and I are almost sisters. Don't touch me. Stay where you are. There is nothing in common between us. I can assure you I'm not joking. Your husband died last night, so there's no reason for you to stay here any longer. But you're mad. Stark raving mad. People don't die like that. When one's arranged to meet them from one moment to the other, all of a sudden, I can't believe you. Let me see him, and then I may believe what I can't even imagine. That impossible. He's at the bottom of the river. Don't touch me. Stay there. I repeat, he's at the bottom of the river. My mother and I carried him to the river last night after putting him to sleep. He didn't suffer, but he is dead sure enough, and it was we, his mother and I, who killed him. It must be I who am mad. I'm hearing words that have never before been said on this earth. I knew that no good would come to me here, but this is sheer craziness, and I will not share in it. At the very moment when your words strike death into my heart, it seems to me that you are talking of some other man, not of the man who shared my nights. And all this is a tale of long ago, in which my love never had a part. It's not for me to convince you, only to tell you the truth, a truth which you will have to recognize before long. But why? Why did you do it? What right have you to question me? What right? My love for him! What does that word mean? It means all that at this moment is tearing, gnawing at my heart. It means this rush of frenzy that makes my fingers itch for murder. It means all my past joys and this wild, sudden grief you have brought me. Yes, you crazy woman. If it wasn't that I've steeled my heart against believing you'd learn the meaning of that word when you felt my nails scoring your cheeks. Again, you are using language I cannot understand. Words like love and joy and grief are meaningless to me. Listen, Martha. That's your name, isn't it? Let's stop this game, if game it is of cross purposes. Let's have done with useless words. Tell me quite clearly what I want to know quite clearly before I let myself break down. Surely I made it clear enough. We did to your husband last night what we had done to other travelers before we killed him and took his money. So his mother and sister were criminals. Yes, but that's their business and no one else's. Had you learned he was your brother when you did it? If you must know, there was a misunderstanding. And if you have any experience at all of the world, that won't surprise you. Oh my God. I knew it. I knew this play acting was bound to end in tragedy, and we'd be punished, he and I, for having lent ourselves to it. I felt danger in the very air one breathes in this country. He wanted to make his homecoming a surprise, to get you to recognize him and to bring you happiness. Only at first he couldn't find the words that were needed. And then, while he was groping for the words, he was killed. And you, like two mad women, blind to the marvelous sun who had returned to you, for marvelous he was, and you will never know the great heartedness, the noble soul of the man you killed last night. He might have been your pride, and he was mine. But no, you were his enemy. Oh, the pity of it. For else, how could you bring yourself to speak so calmly of what should make you rush into the street, screaming out your heart like a wounded animal? You have no right to sit in judgment without knowing all. By now my mother's lying with her son pressed to the sluice gate, and the current is beginning to gnaw their faces and buffeting them against the rotting piles. Soon their bodies will be drawn up and buried together in the same earth. But I cannot see what there is, even in this, to set me screaming with pain. I have a very different idea of the human heart, and to be frank, your tears revolt me. My tears are for the joys I've lost forever, for a life's happiness stolen from me, and this is better for you than the tearless grief I shall have presently, which could kill you without the flutter of an eyelid. Do not imagine talk like that affects me. Really, it would make little difference, for I too have seen and heard enough. I too have resolved to die. But I shall not join them. Why indeed would I want their company? I shall leave them to their new-found love, to their dark embraces. Neither you nor I have any part in these. All that is ended, and they are unfaithful to us forever. Luckily, I have my bedroom, and its roof beam is strong. What does it matter to me that you die or the whole world falls in ruins, if through you I have lost the man I loved, and henceforth I am doomed to live in a dark night of loneliness where every memory is a torture? Let's not exaggerate. You have lost your husband, and I have lost my mother. We are even. But you have only lost him once, after enjoying his love for years and without his having cast you off. My lot is worse. First my mother cast me off, and now she's dead. I have lost her twice. Yes, perhaps I might be tempted to pity you and share my grief with you, if I did not know what was awaiting him alone in his room last night when you were plotting his death. I'm even with your husband, too, for I have suffered as he suffered. Like him, I thought I had made home sure for always. I thought that crime had forged a bond between me and my mother that nothing could ever break, and on whom in all the world should I rely, if not on the woman who had killed beside me? I was mistaken. Crime, too, means solitude, even if 1,000 people join together to commit it, and it is fitting that I should die alone after having lived and killed alone. Stop. I told you not to touch me. At the mere thought that a human hand could lay its warmth on me before I die, at the mere thought that anything at all resembling the foul love of men is dogging me, still I feel the blood pulsing in my temples in a fury of disgust. Have no fear. I shall do nothing to prevent your dying as you wish. For with this hideous pain that grips my body like a vice, I feel a sort of blindness falling on my eyes, and everything around me is growing dim. Neither you nor your mother will ever be more to me than vague, fleeting faces that came and went in the course of a tragedy which could never end. For you, Martha, I have no hatred and no pity. I have lost the power of loving or hating anybody. But then I have hardly had time to suffer or to rebel. My calamity was too big for me, but still not big enough. It has left you eyes to weep with, and I see that something remains for me to do before leaving you forever. I have yet to drive you to despair. Oh, please, leave me alone. Go away, and let me be. Yes, I am going, and it will be a relief for me as well. Your love and your tears are odious to me. But before I go to die, I must rid you of the illusion that you are right, that love isn't futile, and that what has happened was an accident. On the contrary, it's now that we are in the normal order of things, and I must convince you of it. What do you mean by that? That in the normal order of things, no one is ever recognized. Oh, what do I care? I only know that my heart is torn to shreds, and nothing matters to it except the man you killed. Be silent. I will not have you speak of that man. I loathe him, and he is nothing to you now. He has gone down into the bitter house of eternal exile, the fool. Well, he has got what he wanted. He is with the woman he crossed the sea to find, so all of us are served now, as we should be, in the order of things. But fix this in your mind, neither for him nor for us, neither in life nor in death is there any piece of homeland. For you'll agree one can hardly call it a home. That place of clotted darkness underground to which we go from here to feed blind animals. I can't. Oh no, I can't bear to hear you talk like that. I know he too wouldn't have borne it. It was to find another homeland that he crossed the sea. His folly has received its wages, and soon you will receive yours. We're cheated, I tell you, cheated. What do they serve, those blind impulses that surge up in us, the yearnings that rack our souls? Why cry out for the sea or for love? What futility! Your husband knows now what the answer is. That charnel house, where in the end we shall lie huddled together, side by side. A time will come when you, too, know it, and that, could you remember anything, you would recall as a delightful memory this day, which seems to you the beginning of the cruelest of exiles. Try to realize that no grief of yours can ever equal the injustice done to man. And now, before I go, let me give a word of advice. I owe it to you, since I killed your husband. Pray your God to harden you to stone. It's the happiness he has assigned himself, and the one true happiness. Does as he does, be deaf to all appeals, and turn your heart to stone while there is still time. But if you feel you lack the courage to enter into this hard, blind peace, then come and join us in our common house. Goodbye, my sister. As you see, it's all quite simple. You have a choice between the mindless happiness of stones and the slimy bed in which we are awaiting you. Oh, God, I cannot live in this desert. It is on you that I must call, and I shall find the words to say. I place myself in your hands. Have pity, turn toward me. Hear me and raise me from the dust, O Heavenly Father. Have pity on those who love each other and are parted. What's all this noise? Did you call me? Oh, I don't know. But help me. Help me. For I need help. Be kind and say that you will help me. No,